Hi everybody, I'm Chef AJ and welcome to Healthy Living. You know, healthy living starts with healthy eating. So I'm going to show you some healthy and delicious recipes that will help you to look and feel your best. First, I'm going to show you how to make some balsamic Dijon glazed Brussels sprouts. Even if you hate Brussels sprouts, I promise you will love this recipe. Next, we're going to make a do-it-yourself stuffed kabocha squash with all the fixins, and for dessert, an easy, no-bake, decadent banana strawberry chocolate mousse torte made from only 7 healthy ingredients. You know, there's more to healthy living than just healthy eating. So today, joining me in the kitchen will be 3 guests who are experts in their field that will talk about various lifestyle behaviors that are also really important to healthy eating. My first guest is Dr. Roy Artal, who is a triple board certified internist, pulmonologist, and sleep medicine specialist in Los Angeles, who has been following a plant-based diet himself for over 5 years and actually recommends one to his patients. My second guest is Robert Cheeke. He is a 2-time champion bodybuilder and the founder and president of Vegan Bodybuilding and Fitness, and he's been following a plant-based diet for over 20 years. My third guest is Ananda, who is a vegetarian since birth and learned to meditate at the ripe age of 3. She had a desire to help ease suffering at a young age and went on to study Ayurvedic medicine, Reiki, bioresonance therapy, and massage. So please join me in the kitchen and let's get cooking. Dr. Artal, thank you so much for stopping by Healthy Living.
Thanks for having me, AJ.
I'm really excited because you are the guest chef in this episode.
That's amazing. I never thought that I would be a guest chef ever.
Well, the reason is because this is actually your recipe. We're going to be making the most delicious Brussels sprout recipe you've ever tasted. What's interesting, Dr. Artal, is I've always hated Brussels sprouts until this recipe. How did you come up with it? It's pure genius.
You know, when I was growing up, I loved Brussels sprouts. And when I became plant-based, I tried to come up with some healthy Brussels sprout recipes. And I love mustard, and I love balsamic vinegar, and I love Brussels sprouts. So I figured, hey, put the 3 together. Right. How bad could it be?
So we're going to make the recipe in a second. But first, you mentioned when you became plant-based. When was that?
I've been plant-based for almost 5 years.
Terrific. And what made you come to that realization to eat this way?
You know, as a doctor, I was seeing so many people who lived like me. They were trying to eat healthy. They were thinking that they were doing the right things. They were eating their heart healthy fish and their heart healthy oils, and they were exercising a few times a week, but yet they were all overweight.
Right.
They all wanted to lose 10, 20, 30 or more pounds. Just an unbelievable number of them had high blood pressure, had diabetes, had various medical problems. And I was looking at my own health, and I was looking at these people who were maybe 5, 10 years, 20 years older than me, and just asking myself, is this what's in store for me? Is this what's in store for everybody? And it just prompted me on a journey to question everything which I'd been taught about nutrition and health and what leads to good nutrition.
Which isn't much, may I say, in medical school. How much nutritional training? You're a quadruple board certified medical doctor.
Well, only triple board certified now, but I didn't recertify in one.
Right, but you're a pulmonary doctor, you're an internal
specialist.
Medicine doctor, and a sleep specialist.
Correct.
And so obviously you went to medical school. How much nutritional training do doctors get in medical school?
You know, in all fairness, we got some rudimentary training about nutrition, but it's certainly not the kind of nutrition that I recommend to patients today.
And what do you recommend to your patients?
I recommend that they follow a whole food plant-based diet.
You heard it from the doctor. You must listen to the doctor. And what happened to your physical health when you adopted this diet?
You know, I lost about 30 plus pounds.
Easily, right?
Easily,
just like that,
without even trying.
That's fantastic.
And cholesterol went down, feel better energy.
Great.
Yeah, feel great. It was the best decision I ever made.
Because you were already an exercise buff even before adopting this diet.
I was exercising a lot, so that didn't really change. It really was just my nutrition.
Right.
And just focusing on what I put in my body. Right. We've all heard the expression, you are what you eat.
Absolutely, because you can't out-exercise a bad diet, right? even though exercise is really important, and our next guest is going to tell us that. So let's do the recipe. Now, I have right here a baking sheet, and I'm sure you do the same kind of thing.
Right.
And I like to use a nonstick silicone baking mat out of respect for the environment rather than keep using a piece of parchment paper every time. I've had mine for over 20 years.
I use the same thing.
Right. So I start out with 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts because, I mean, these are like candy. You want to eat the whole thing, so the more the better. And all I've done was cut them in half. That's basically what
Perfect.
you do. If they're really big, I'll cut them in 4s, but these were little ones, so I cut them in half. And I just brought Dijon mustard. I don't know what kind you like, but this is good quality Dijon.
Dijon mustard is my favorite. That's exactly what I use.
And, you know, I just eyeball it. I don't really measure. It's just about a 50-50 mixture,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
I do have a special vinegar, and I'd like you to try this because up until Dr. Artal taught me this recipe, I never liked vinegar. It was always too sharp for me. But they have vinegars now that are less acidic. They're lower in acidity, like 4% instead of 6%. This is from I Love Date Lady. It's a date balsamic, so it's thick and sweet. And if there's any left, I'll let you have the bottle. So we're going to use that today, and it's going to make it taste absolutely delicious.
Well, it's definitely nice and thick and syrupy. So
Right,
it looks super yummy.
It is yummy, and it's yummy on all kinds of things.
What do you think? Is that good?
I
Enough?
put
Too much?
more. It just depends how mustardy you like it as opposed to how vinegary. I kind of like it probably more sweet. I'm a sweet kind of gal. So you're a doctor. I'm sure you're familiar with these. I'm sure
yeah.
you use them all the time.
Thank you.
So I just find it's easier. You know, fingers were invented before forks, so it's easier to mix it up that way. And since I'm going to be eating these, I wanted to use gloves. Good hygiene's important, right? Wasn't there a doctor in the hospitals a long time ago that used to tell people to wash their hands, and he was ostracized, and he's like, now he's famous. Is Semmelweis or something?
I don't know the story super
Right.
well, but the first doctor who suggested, really recommended and emphasized that, hey, we need to be washing our hands before we do things like surgical procedures and touching patients was actually ostracized. And of course, nowadays you get in trouble in the
Right,
hospital if you don't
right.
wash your hands before entering a patient's room and after leaving the patient's room. So
Well, a lot of times those of us with great ideas get ostracized until they become accepted.
it takes a little while sometimes, unfortunately.
You have a very large practice at a thriving medical center in Los Angeles. How many patients do you think that a lot of what's wrong with them is a result of lifestyle?
Well, it's huge. You know, the obesity that we see, the diabetes that we see, the high blood pressure, the coronary disease, cancers. I mean, so much of that, just an overwhelming amount of that is related to nutrition and what we put in our body. And why would we expect anything else? Why would we expect that if we put harmful things in our bodies that we wouldn't get sick?
This is beautiful. So I'm going to stick this in the oven. Now, I know you cook yours at 350, but I like mine a little bit crispier, and I like them done a little bit faster. So I've got it oven preheated to 450. Sticking it right in. You know what's so great about this recipe, Dr. Artal, is I love Brussels sprouts, but not everybody does. And it works on every vegetable. I don't know if you've ever done this marinade on other vegetables. I've done it on broccoli, cauliflower, butternut squash, white turnips. It's incredible. Even people that hate vegetables will love this recipe.
I love this. It's oil-free. It gives great flavor.
Salt-free.
It's sweet.
It's delicious. If someone would want to get in touch with you, or if they were willing to travel to LA, how could we find you?
My website, drartal.com, drartal.com.
And they should, instead of caffeine, be having Brussels sprouts. I know these won't be ready in time, so I pre-made a batch using Dr. Artal's recipe. Do these kind of look like yours?
Those look amazing.
Should we try them? You don't mind using fingers? These look amazing. I mean, you could give your kids these at Halloween instead.
This is candy.
It's like candy. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for stopping by Healthy Living, Dr. Artal, and thank you for sharing an amazing recipe.
AG, thank you so much for having me.
Right.
And thanks for spreading this message.
Absolutely. And everybody knows that this is your recipe. Whether I teach at a 5-star resort or on a cruise ship, I make this recipe, and I always give you credit. All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Robert, thank you so much for stopping by Healthy Living.
Well, thank you, Chef AJ. It's great to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you. Robert is the author of Vegan Bodybuilding and Fitness, as well as a new book called Shred It. Now, Robert, if I eat like you, am I going to look like this girl?
You already do, Chef AJ. Come on.
All right, you're coming back on. Let me tell you that right now. So I'm so excited to have you on the show because even though I've been following a vegan diet for almost 40 years, and I've helped a lot of people transition to a healthier diet, when it comes to men, you know what they say, well, I'm going to be weak, I'm going to be puny, I'm not going to have enough calories to fuel my workout. Now, you do not look like a 98-pound weakling to me. As a matter of fact, are these real or are these implants?
No, these are real.
Okay.
These are real. But let me tell you, though,
Right.
they started at 120 pounds when I became vegan
You're
back
kidding.
in 1995.
Wow, so you've been vegan for almost 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
More
And
than
I actually
20
put on 75 pounds of mostly muscle and competed in bodybuilding for a long time. So that argument or that question, can you build muscle on a plant-based diet, on a vegan lifestyle? Absolutely. I put that to rest a long time ago.
Well, you've done it. You're a 2-time champion. What does that mean? I mean, that's for bodybuilding.
Yeah, so what that means is that I beat everyone else in my category, and many of these people eat chicken 6 times a day, animal products all day long, and I was able to finish first place numerous times in the bodybuilding stage.
Wow, it's incredible. Well, you're a walking testament
that
this diet works. Now, I asked Robert because we're going to be talking about exercise, because, you know, the food is really important. We just had a doctor say that. You know, healthy living does start with healthy eating, but there's more to it, and you're kind of an expert in that area, in the fitness area. So I said to Robert, I said, well, what kind of food should we make that's going to fuel the workout? And he said my very favorite category, unrefined complex carbohydrates.
Absolutely.
The beans, the peas, the potatoes, the squash, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make today what I call DIY, do-it-yourself stuffed kabocha squash. It's a takeoff on my sweet potato nachos from my book Unprocessed. But when it's hot like this, I don't want to turn my oven on. So what do? I use the Instant Pot. Are you familiar with pressure cooking?
Absolutely. I used one this morning.
You have an Instant Pot?
Yeah, on our way here, we stayed in a motel here in LA, and we had oatmeal this morning.
So I'm not the only crazy person that travels with my Instant Pot and cooks in my hotel room.
We make motel meals all the time.
Good to know. All right, very good. Have you ever had kabocha squash?
Yes, absolutely.
This is like dessert. This is one of my favorite foods in the whole world, but they could take over an hour to bake in the oven, and plus I can't cut it. I'm not strong like you. In the Instant Pot, all you have to do is you have the little rack that comes with it. You fill it to the top of the rack with water. If you fill it with boiling water, it will go faster. But it's still pretty quick, and it's just such a great way to have kabocha squash ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on high pressure for 10 minutes. What I love about the Instant Pot is literally, you set it, you forget it. Now we can talk about the food.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to the food.
Absolutely. So these are complex carbohydrates. These are the foods that everybody says carbs. Oops. That just means that this is what I wanted the setting to be, and it's just telling me, so thank you. So many people say carbs are bad, they make me fat. That's all we eat.
Right.
And we're not fat.
Complex carbohydrates from real food are the best sources of energy. This is long-lasting energy for the long haul.
Right.
So if you want to eat quick energy, that's something like fruit. Bananas, grapes, berries, right before workout, that's fantastic. But if your workout isn't for another hour or two, or if you have a long, busy day, or you're traveling, you need real, sustainable energy for a long time. Things like this, rice, beans, lentils, potatoes, yams, oats are the best foods. They take longer to digest. They provide energy for a long-lasting period of time. They're absolutely fantastic. Plus, they have vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, water. They have all of these things intact because they're in their whole food state. And that's important. We have to change the discussion and description of carbohydrates from refined junk foods and pastries and sodas, thinking those are carbohydrates, to the real whole food carbohydrates that they are.
There's a difference between sugar, flour, and alcohol, which is a highly refined carbohydrate, to these ones that our ancestors ate throughout most of human history, and what people that are healthy and largely free of disease eat today. This is actually wild rice, which is actually a seed, or it's not rice, but I cooked this quickly in the Instant Pot as I did the beans. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've ever had these. These are Hawaiian sweet potatoes. I got these from Hawaii Veggie Farm. They're purple on the inside. These are, I believe, what the Okinawans eat something like 69% of their calories from. They're the longest lived people in the world. They're part of the blue zones, and they eat about 69% of their calories from carbs. So why do so many athletes just protein, whey protein? Where did that get started?
You know, I think it started with the supplement industry about 40 or 50 years ago. Whey and casein, byproducts of the very cruel dairy industry. Cheap byproducts, we realized we could package them, resell them to people, give people extra protein. This idea that we needed more and more protein was really born, at least in the supplement area, around that time. And so it's really, I've seen it be very pervasive in the supplement and sport industry. More protein the better, more protein the better. Well, we found out that's not always the case. Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. Right. Extra protein can have adverse health implications on kidneys, liver, diminished bone density, slow down digestion, make you feel lethargic, tired, can lead to obesity, excess caloric consumption. There's a lot of adverse health risks involved with excess protein, with this concept that more is better, when really I think we should follow a low protein, low fat, high complex carbohydrate diet.
Exactly. Well, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we're going to show you how a
right.
world-class athlete like Robert eats and a world-class chef like myself eats. So what we have here, this is not ready yet, so we cook this in advance. And you know, you can eat the skin. I mean, you know that, right? It's delicious. This is organic kabocha
eat the
squash.
bowl.
Well, don't eat the bowl. We need it.
I mean, this is the bowl.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
The squash bowl.
So the idea is we're using the squash as the bowl because it's edible. So I like having parties where guests can put in what they want. So please, we have the wild rice, the beans, the shredded coleslaw, roasted corn, salsa, all made without oil or salt, some guacamole. So let's get started.
And many of these foods are about 500 calories per pound or so.
Exactly.
They're 2 or 3 times more calorically dense than leafy greens. It's going to be really substantial for lots of energy for working out.
Right, and so, squash itself is only 400 calories a pound. So it's really, you can't go wrong eating these. Oh, corn, I love this. And it's kind of fun, this is a fun thing to do because then kids love serving themselves, and so do guests. And it's really fun. Isn't it good? Look, you got to put a little jalapeno on top. Isn't that beautiful? And look at the color. People that just eat animal products, their food is brown or brown and white. The color in this food, it's amazing. God, the only thing is I forgot to give you a fork. You might have to pick it up and eat it like a thing. If you had one message to say to all those guys out there, or maybe not guys, women, the people that really believe that you can't fuel your workout and have huge muscles like this on a plant-based diet, what would you say?
You've got to give it a try. And that's what I did. You've got to believe that real food provides real nutrition. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, antioxidants come in their original forms from plant-based whole foods, from fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, legumes.
Right.
This is where nutrition comes from. You've got to give it a try and see how your athletic performance improves.
And not only will your athletic performance improve, but I think your performance in all areas will improve. Thanks so much. We'll be right back. Hi, Ananda. Thank you so much for being on Healthy Living.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So you're a 4th degree Karuna Reiki master, is that correct?
That is correct.
So you like the big Karuna, huh?
Yes, good one.
My rudimentary understanding of Reiki is that it's energy work, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. It was originated in Japan hundreds of years ago, but it was brought to the West in the early 30s.
Okay.
And essentially, it's where the practitioner is holding hands or laying on hands directly on the body or over the body, and a channel of pure energy, which allows the person, the client, to receive whatever that person may be needing in order to remove blocks and create more vitality and health.
When it comes to energy, isn't food also important?
Absolutely. Well, if you think of everything as energy, there's certain levels of higher vibrations as well as denser vibrations. So when we're thinking of food in particular, things that have life force directly from the ground and the sun are going to have that higher vibration than those that may come from flesh or meat.
Or even processed food. That's why I prefer eating whole food.
Absolutely.
From a plant rather than food being manufactured.
Right, because that's diluted.
And so you said that even having it uncooked might even be of a little bit higher vibration. So I decided to create a recipe that was raw, uncooked, that used a lot of these delicious foods from nature. So first we're going to make a crust. We're going to make a banana strawberry chocolate mousse tart that you could put together in probably 10 minutes if company were to come at the last minute.
Awesome.
So we're going to make the crust first. And here we have a cup of raw cashews. You could use macadamia nuts if you prefer. I like to use a white nut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to process them into a flour-like consistency. You don't want to over-process because then you'll get a nut butter, which won't work in this recipe. I have a cup of unsweetened coconut. This is actually a reduced fat coconut. I'm just going to incorporate that for a quick sec. And now I'm going to add 2 cups of pitted dates. See, I believe in using the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. And you're one of the people that taught me that sugar really is not a health food.
Absolutely, especially processed sugar, which can really decrease the immune system functioning. We want to have whole food sugars, especially from fruit.
Right,
yes,
right,
exactly.
So what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate the dates. This is going to take a few minutes because the dates have to get nice and soft. So when it starts to slow down, you know that the dates are incorporated, and then and only then I'm going to add a tablespoon of alcohol-free vanilla. And that's it. The quickest crust. It's gluten-free. There's no flour. There's no sugar. Yay. I think this might have made enough for 2 pies, which is great. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press it into the pan while you tell me why it's important to have a practice like Reiki or meditation in your daily life. Or maybe not daily, but at least,
Sure.
you know.
Well, absolutely. It's actually good to have healthy daily practices, just like we would sleep well and exercise and eat good foods. We want to maintain a level of healthy functioning within our mind and our spirit, our emotional state and awareness. So, of course, meditation helps to calm the nervous system down, helps to increase immune system functioning and to decrease blood pressure, and helps to calm or receive that unifying force energy that is found at the fundamental base of all of creation.
And why is it so hard to do? Because you've been telling me for years, as has everyone, that I need to meditate. And I eat right, I exercise. But why is it so hard to just sit there? I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Well, that's part of the problem, is that there's a state of awareness of being rather than doing that's initiated during meditation. And it also helps us to create a gap between our thoughts. So most of us are always, always, always thinking, and actually even addicted to thinking in some ways, where we're constantly pressing back on that anxiety of, have we enough money, or do we have this, or whatever. And so our mind is constantly evaluating, criticizing, judging, and moving from one thought to another. Meditation helps to still that, helps to create a deeper level of peace or balance, where the thoughts aren't so pervasive or loud, and where we can respond to outside sources in a way that gives us a moment's pause before reacting in an emergency kind of way, which would be more about the sympathetic nervous system, which does increase that blood rate and that heart pumping and all of that reactivity that we would experience in a crisis. Whereas in meditation, we have received that kind of stillness or that level of awareness that allows us to think and pause before we go right into that reactivity.
Right. Well, while we were talking about this fascinating subject, I finished the crust, and you could actually just slice fruit in this, but we're going to make a decadent chocolate mousse filling for it.
Excellent. Thank you.
So now I'm going to make the filling out of avocado. And that's going to be our best source. You know, most chocolate mousse is made out of cream and butter and eggs, and none of that stuff is good for you or your heart. So I have, normally I would say 2 ripe avocados. These were small, so these are actually 4 avocados. Place it in the food processor fitted with the S-blade. I just want to show you, hopefully this will work. An easy way to get the pit out of an avocado is you cut it in half, take your knife, whoops, whack it, comes right out. Voila. See, you learned something on healthy living. So next I'm going to add 1/3 cup of a really good quality cocoa powder. I like a dark chocolate one. This is from France. I'm a little bit of a cocoa snob because I was a pastry chef for many years at a restaurant. And instead of sugar, date paste. And all date paste is dates that have been soaked in water and pureed. And you can use that for all your sweetening. It has vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants and water and fiber, unlike processed sugar, which has none of those beneficial ingredients. And then the last ingredient, you know, there's only about 8 ingredients in this whole dessert. And most of these I have at my house all the time. Tablespoon of alcohol-free vanilla. Put the top on the food processor. How's that for fast?
Wow. And delicious.
Look at that. Does that look amazing?
It's gorgeous.
And we didn't even have to cook it, so it's great. I love recipes that I don't have to turn the oven on for, because it's so hot in California where I live. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a banana on the bottom, and I love this little tool because it just makes it so much easier to cut bananas. And every piece is the same size. If you want, you can spread those out for me nice and evenly on the bottom. Use your hands, which are charged with Reiki energy, so we'll put even more life force into this pie.
Lovely.
There we go. I'll let you do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top. Doesn't have to be perfect because the fruit's going to be all spread out.
Great.
You can eat this right now. You could use this as a dip, you know, for fruit. I want to show you a really cool trick. Do you have a food processor at home?
I do.
Okay, so let me show you a really cool trick. Like, you know when you're making things like, whether it's chocolate mousse or hummus, how like the food always gets stuck on the blade, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to lick the blade because that blade is sharp, so watch. All you do is you put the food processor back on the base for just a quick second. Pulse it for a second, and through centrifugal force, the blade has now cleaned itself. And look, there's like another half cup or so of chocolatey goodness in there that people sometimes might have thrown out, not knowing that trick, which was taught to me by my sister-in-law, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, because I was wasting a lot of chocolate mousse.
No, you don't want to waste that.
No,
That's
not at all. So now, this is called an offset spatula, and I'm just going to put it, this smells so good. I wish we had smell-o-vision because this smells like, and again, you could use any kind of cocoa powder. You could use carrot powder because some people, you know, like myself, I'm very sensitive to the effects of caffeine and chocolate, so it's probably not the best thing for me, especially since I'm not yet a regular meditator. There we go. Looks beautiful. Now, what I've done is I've just sliced the top, and you can help me just put these strawberries on top. And it's really fun if you have kids, things that they can do that don't involve a sharp knife, let them do at home. Ooh, a couple of these have the stems, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to show you something really, really cool.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Isn't this beautiful? And it takes no time to make, and these are all really simple ingredients that you can find anywhere. And it's not just a, you know, a California thing. I've made this in other parts of the United States and the world, and people love it. Ideally, we would like to chill this for a little bit, but we can eat this right now. And you know what? It's okay that it didn't go all the way, because let me show you what we're going to do. So there's a space left. So what I'm going to do, and you could do one if you want, is I'm going to make a strawberry fan, since we're missing a couple of strawberries right there. We'll put one here. There we go. All you do to make a strawberry fan is you can take any kind of knife, even a butter knife, and you just make little vertical slits. You try to find the prettiest strawberry you can, and then you just kind of fan it out like that. And then we'll put that right there to make the top. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Would you like a piece?
I would. I would love to try.
Let me cut you a piece of this
thank you.
delicious strawberry chocolate mousse pie with the hidden banana. Wow. Wow. This is going to be a big piece.
Oh, my.
That's okay.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. Probably this would be enough for 2 people. But
Oh, yeah.
the first piece is always the hardest to get out. Look at that. Whoa.
Wow.
That
That is
is
a mega
delicious.
piece.
And
Thank you.
So look how pretty.
Wow.
And I would keep this, I would store this in the refrigerator, of course. And you can use different fruits. You could use raspberries, and whatever you
Oh,
like.
man.
Let me know how
this
it is.
is incredible. Thank you so
Well,
much.
You're welcome. That was a very delicate taste.
So, so good.
So
wow.
how will this help your Reiki powers to eat something
Absolutely.
like this?
Food like this is so, so energizing and so good for you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And if somebody wants to find out more about Reiki or meditation, what's the best resource for them to find out where they live?
I would simply Google it. There's quite a few places that offer it, whether it be through your own health practitioner, such as a chiropractor or an acupuncturist who may also know Reiki, or there's a whole Reiki society that is online that's available for
Wonderful.
information.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching another episode of Healthy Living. You know, healthy living does start with healthy eating, but there's other behaviors that will really improve your health, such as getting adequate sleep, doing adequate exercise, and maybe even considering other modalities like energy work. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Chef AJ, and I make healthy taste delicious.